Well, hi, everybody. I'm Connie. I'm on staff here, and it is just a great joy to be with you tonight. I really enjoyed the time of worship, so thank you. Thank you for leading us and being with us tonight. Woohoo! Riley, how you doing? Nice to see you. Congratulations on the wedding yesterday. That's super exciting, huh? Way cool. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate that a lot. Hey, so we're doing the open questions. Here we go. Oh, let's start there. All the questions that we have. So I am excited about what we're looking at tonight. I hope you are too. And we're going to be unpacking a couple questions that you all submitted and looking at them. And we're going to do them in little chunks to try to break them down. The very first question is this: how do I not conform to the patterns of the world? How do I keep my focus on God when people who I love seem to draw me away? Wow, first of all, I just want to commend you on the great questions. There are a lot of questions that came in. So good job on that. Thank you for that. And I'm excited to see what we have here. We're going to look at Romans 12:1 first of all. And because it talks about conforming to the patterns of the world. And that's where we see that in the first place. So we're actually going to look at it in the Message version. And this is what it says. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. So I'm going to start first of all by saying none of us have the ability to withstand conforming to the world unless we're willing to say, God, I need your help. Like, we can't do this without his help and his guidance in our lives. So when we break it down, we see these in these little sections here. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without thinking. So often we just kind of go along with the flow, whatever that is, whatever our friends are doing, we're going to do the same thing, or whatever the crowd's doing, whatever's popular, whatever's happening around us. But you know what's something really fascinating? So when they asked Jesus what the most important thing was that he could say, what was for them to live their life, and it was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul. In the Old Testament, it says heart, soul, and strength. In the New Testament, when Jesus is asked about this, he says heart, soul, mind, and strength. Because I think somewhere along the way, he realized that 2,000 years later when he came, people forgot to use their mind anymore. So if we just start fitting into our culture without even thinking about it, we're missing what's going on around us. Then it says, instead, fix your attention on God. I mean, where do we normally look? Where do we normally look when we're in these situations? We're trying to sort through, how do I not just, go along with what's happening around me? Are my eyes on my friends? Are my eyes on what others might think? And I'm concerned that if I don't do things their way, I'm gonna be on the outside looking in. Or is my intention on God and asking, what do you want, Lord? What do you want me to do? You'll be changed from the inside out. What a great consideration. He works on the inside of us and helps us to change because our eyes are fixed on him. It's real transformation. It's real strength. It's real courage. It begins inside. It doesn't just appear. It begins because God's working in us. And that verse continues. This is all the Message translation. Readily recognize what he wants from you and quickly respond to it. Now, the only way we can readily recognize and quickly respond is if we either know or we're asking for God to help us have that wisdom, or we're hanging out with people that can help us find that wisdom, or we're talking to people that we think have that wisdom that can help us to know what the right direction is and how we quickly respond his way. So we want to think about those things. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you. He develops well-formed maturity in you. So we see that our culture can just kind of drag us down. But that's not what God does. He builds us up. He's always about helping us become the best version of ourselves, not the worst version of ourselves. I think earlier when Jay did the game and he had everybody come up on stage, it would have been really interesting if one by one he said, okay, I'm actually going to pull you up on stage with me. Now, Jay's a really strong guy, so he probably could have done this. But if we think about us in our everyday lives, if we're trying to walk with the Lord and we're trying to live at a higher level, and others are in a different level, they're kind of walking through the pit of life, and we're trying to help pull them up to our level, probably 9 chances out of 10, they're pulling us down. We're not pulling them up. So when we think about that, back to the question that was, how do I not conform when people that I love are drawing me away? I have to tell you, I would question their love for you. Because true love wants us to become the best version of ourselves, not the worst version. It's not about taking us away from who God is. It's about drawing closer to him. So I would do it kind of like this. I think I would ask the question, is Jesus at the center of my life? And once I know, okay, Jesus is at the center of my life, I think I'd ask the question, who am I closest to? And then I would ask that next question, like, how close are they to Jesus? Because if I'm supposed to fix my eyes on God, I'm supposed to fix my eyes on the Lord, I need to think about that. So what is the trajectory that I am on? Is my trajectory, is it drawing me towards the Lord and closer to him? Or is it taking me away from him? So anytime it's taking me away from him, it's going to be harder and harder to not conform because we're just going to get swallowed up in what's going on around us. Now, I actually have a big question for everybody here. My question would be this: what is the trajectory that you're on? What are your boundaries? Now, I find this kind of fascinating because normally anytime we talk about boundaries or having some guidelines and stuff, especially in areas of faith, people get a little edgy, they get a little nervous, and they go, nobody can tell me what to do, and they get really kind of tense about it. And I do find that fascinating because we understand boundaries and we understand guidelines in so many other areas of our life if we just stop and think about it. So let's put it in this context. Let's say that one day, someone in your family says, hey, can you go out back and mow the yard for us? If you're out mowing the lawn, you can see here how this person, see how the fence ends and then you hit that little brick thing? Well, they actually just kept mowing into their neighbor's lawn. Now, maybe their neighbor wanted to mow their lawn. Maybe they were trying to be nice and kind, or maybe they just crossed a boundary and said, you know what, I don't want my yard to end here. I want to have a little bit more footage, so I'm going to mow a little bit more. So that's one way we see boundaries. Anybody in the room ever think about driving or looking forward to driving one day? So if you're learning to drive, first thing you're going to be learning is, man, here's where the lines are, and you have to stay on these lines, and it's not because someone's being nasty or unkind, it's because they're trying to save your life, because they know if you cross over the lines, you can hit another car or they can hit you. So this is what it looks like when there are no guidelines or no boundaries. This is in India. And also looks very similar in Ethiopia. If you're driving along, they don't have road markings. So people can drive wherever they want to, and it's total chaos. It's just a complete mess. So, and you have these little horns, they go doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, to let you know that they're coming. But what's going on, you have cattle on the road. Like in Ethiopia, it's nothing to have oxen coming down the road and cars and buses. And you're trying to navigate through all this stuff, and it's really just this is a mess. So again, not having guidelines or boundaries doesn't get you there quicker. It actually slows you down. So it locks you up. It's not freeing. It's actually frustrating. So it's a whole different trajectory. Or let's think about some other places that we might see some guidelines or some boundaries. Anybody in the room play volleyball? I'm a volleyball player. I love volleyball. It's a great game. A lot of fun. What happens if you cross under the net? Whistle go, man, ball's dead. It goes the other way. Done. So yeah, so that's a guideline that we fully respect. We don't go to the coach and go, I don't want to have the line there. I want the line to be further. We don't do that. We just go, no, that makes sense. There's guidelines. What about football? Football players. Anybody play football or love to watch football? Big on that. Yay, Ravens. Wow, pulled that out in the last minute if you saw that today. Phew. If this guy steps out of bounds, man, his toes are right on the edge. Why is he doing that? Why are his toes right on the edge? Good. If he catches, yeah, it's going to be a touchdown if he catches it and stays in. The second one toe steps out of bounds, ball's dead, it comes back, done. So we understand, we get this in all these other settings. What about baseball? Anybody see last week with the World Series and the Astros and the Braves and stuff? This play was amazing to me. So the pitcher, throws in, so they get that, and he has to run over to first base because the first baseman had to go do something else. And so he runs over to first base to get and he actually slides in. He's coming back to where the plate is. And as he gets there, the guy is running up and he literally steps full force on his ankle. Steps completely on it. Now, the thing that's fascinating about it is that they called him out, but when they did all the replays and they showed the replays over and over and over again, both of them missed the bag. So neither the guy who's trying to make the play to get him out hit the bag, nor the guy who was stepping on it hit the bag, but the play was still over because they called him safe. But we get this in so many places that there are guidelines and there are things that we have to realize. So when we think about this, we think about our trajectory that we're on, what we're doing, the choices we're making. How do we have healthy guidelines? How do we have healthy boundaries? What are those boundaries that would say, this is what God would say would be healthy for you and helpful for you and not hurtful? So I think for me, it would have been saying, when I'm with my friends, and to this day, it would still be the same thing. I know there's certain things, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to engage in that. I'm not going to participate in that because it's something that I know is not going to be healthy or positive or put me in a great direction. So Jesus always controlled the flow of the conversation. If you're with your friends and the conversation's going really, really bad and you're feeling awkward about it, and as someone who loves Jesus, you're going, I've got Jesus in my heart. I don't think we should be talking like this about people, but you don't know how to stop it because it's just, you're kind of swallowed up in the moment. We all understand that. But if you look at what Jesus did, it was fascinating. Jesus always controlled the flow of the conversation. So if you look through the scriptures and you see him in all these different places, he's interacting with others. They would ask a question and he would go, we're not talking about that. Now, he wouldn't literally say that. He would just go, he would ask some other question, or he would start telling them a story, or he would go into something else to actually change it. Except for there was this one time where they ask him a question, he immediately answers it. Do you know what it was about? It was about talking to God. It was about how do we pray. The disciples said to him, hey, how do we talk to God the way you talk to him? And he immediately answered the question. So that was a conversation he stayed in. So I think when we're with our friends that are pulling us the wrong direction and we're stuck in that, we have to go, where's my heart? How close am I to the Lord? How close are they to the Lord? We want to have friends that don't know the Lord because we want to help them know him. But we want to keep going and where we're having positive engagement with them. So that's the first one. Next question. Okay, how do we know what the truth is when everyone has their own version, including pastors, of what is right and wrong? And this next one is also very close to it. If we can't always trust people to tell the truth because everyone is human, flawed, and has their own beliefs, then how can we trust pastors to tell the truth? What is the truth always? Wow. Big questions. I mean, kudos to y'all for putting these in here, seriously. So here's what I'd say to this. I think it's like an eye exam. So like where am I looking? And then an eye exam, like my own life. How am I leading it? So when I say an eye exam and an eye exam, it's what am I focusing on and what am I going to do about it? So now I've worn glasses since 3rd grade. So I am very familiar with the fact that every year I got to go get my eyes checked. I got to see whether or not, I need to change my prescription and all that kind of stuff. And I know that I could stand up here right now and I could take my glasses off and that would look different. And suddenly, I don't see anybody's faces anymore. I can kind of sort of see my paper, but I understand that I have to have some adjustments for me to be able to see clearly. So when I think about the truth and I think about, trusting people and how do I know if it's the truth and all that kind of stuff, coming back to, again, Romans 12:2, it said, fix your attention on God. And then Hebrews 12:2, and I think it's kind of cool that they're both 12:2, which is one in Romans and one in Hebrews, it says, fix our eyes on Jesus. So it drills it down a little bit further. The rest of the verse says, the author and the perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. So he's the author, he's writing our story, he's a perfecter, he's editing it along the way. And Jesus understood that there were some times in life that were really, really hard. The joy set before him was like one day he knew that you would come to know him, and that brings him joy. And that is so cool to think about. So he went past it all, what Jason was thinking about when our worship team was leading us earlier. And we're thinking about what Jesus did for us on the cross so we could be in relationship with him. So what is the truth always? Wow. Okay, here's what I would say. It's not what, it is who. If I'm thinking, what is the truth always, it's going to be about what is being said, where Jesus would say that he is the truth. So it's about who. Again, where are my eyes focused? Am I focused on what people are saying? Am I focused on, whatever? The school board said this, the government did that, my family did this. I mean, we're trying to just drill it into words that are out here. Or am I coming into who? and thinking about Jesus and his call in my life and going, he is the truth. So when he's asked a question, he says that, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The Message version says, I am the road, also the truth, also the life. So if we count on people to be our focus, we're going to be disappointed, often. Even with pastors, I mean, they're still human beings. I think that no one would intentionally be choosing to lie. But when we see things that when we're in situations, if you're with friends on a particular night and the next day you're talking about what happened the day before, just having different people's thoughts into what happened, you're going to get different people's considerations because of what is in their story and how we perceive things and how we understand things. So coming to a place where we can always come back to who is the truth? It's Jesus. So he says in John 8:31-32, if you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So he kind of does this if-then clause. He says, if you hold to my teaching, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So he's actually linking those together, that our relationship, our proximity to God, our closeness to Jesus, helps us understand more about what the truth is. And when I'm in situations where you have people say things and you're unsure about it, then I ask God to help me know what it is. We'd had a situation back in the springtime where we had a family member that something was just unusual. It was just weird. We couldn't figure out what was going on. So I actually prayed. I'm like, Lord, I don't get what's going on. It was my brother-in-law. I don't get what's going on with him lately. It's just like totally strange. Would you reveal the truth? And it took several months, but then in September, we happened to be at a family wedding. And towards the end of the night, his wife came up and started talking with me and sharing some things. Now, at the time, I have to be honest, I was a little frustrated because I'm like, we're at a wedding. I don't want to hear all the ugly stuff that's going on in your life right now. I realized later that what the Lord was doing was answering my prayer because I'd asked for him to reveal what the truth was, and he did. It just took some time. So I think praying is a big thing. If I don't believe, or I don't hold on to Jesus' teaching, or I don't follow him, then it gets really fuzzy. It gets pretty blurry, and that happens really quickly. So that's, I think again, it's a who, it's not a what. And the last question, how literally should I translate and interpret the Bible? Wow, I mean, that could be a series in and of itself, truly. It really could be. That's a great question. I know that Jay and Donovan are going to be diving more into that as they're going through the study that's going to be going on. So what I would say with this one, quickly, just to give a quick thought into it, again, because I know it'll be studied in more depth in other settings, is this, in context. So when I say in context, it's understanding the big picture of the Bible. So the big picture of the Bible is this. In Genesis 1 and 2, we have the creation story. So God creates all things in an orderly manner. He creates man and woman in his own image. We hit Genesis 3, and it's what's called the fall, where man tries to usurp God's authority. The relationship with God's broken, and the cosmos is fractured. And then from Genesis 3:15, the whole way through Revelation. So basically, that is in the Bible, that is starting here. It's starting way back here and ending here. Like all of that is the part up there of redemption. So the whole part of the Bible that you see, that huge chunk, is all about this theme of redemption. And it's introduced immediately in Genesis 3:15 with the promise of salvation. We just sang about that, coming through Eve, and it continues throughout the Bible. And then the final two chapters in Revelation 21 and 22, we see the restoration and the order of the cosmos. God establishes perfect order with the creation of a new heaven and earth. And we see that. So things start off great, go south really quick. The rest of the story is God trying to redeem us and saying, I love you and I want you back, and how do we have a relationship, and I care about you. And in the end, he finally, everything gets restored. So I would say in context is the most important way to interpret the Bible, and also what we say the 5 P's: purpose, perspective, patience, process, and prayer. And Jess Ruffel, who's in the room, is very good with that. So if you need help on that, I would suggest that you talk with her. But I will say this. If you don't believe the first 4 words of the Bible, which is in the beginning, God, you're going to struggle with all the rest of it. So coming back to our, how do we not just get swallowed up and are doing things that if our friends are doing things that are bad and we get swallowed up in that, how do I know the truth, all that? We need God. We need Jesus. We need to be in a relationship with him. He's the one that guides us. So let me pray for you, and then you'll dive into your groups. Lord, thank you that we could come together tonight. I thank you for the joy and the fun time and the game at the beginning. I thank you for the worship. I thank you for the excitement with the announcements and wonderful things that are taking place. And I pray that as I go now to the groups and stuff, that it'll just be a great time of conversation with each other and just continuing to explore really good questions. Lord, thank you that you welcome all of our questions. You're not afraid of anything. So I do pray that everyone here will have the opportunity to just continue to pour their heart out to you and to seek you. And we thank you that you are the truth. And we pray all that in your precious and holy name. Amen. Thank you.